Welcome everybody to It Takes a Village podcast. Hope everybody's enjoying the day and enjoying the beautiful weather and just having a good time because with so much craziness going on and evil and madness and anger, just to be able to sit, enjoy the weather, and be thankful, it's a blessing. It's becoming a commodity. Not that we ever have taken life for granted, but we really now must really just sit and say, God, we thank you for your protection. We thank for the hedge that He's placed around His children. So just relax, enjoy life, and be thankful. Just don't take anything or anybody for granted. We're gonna have fun today. I'm so excited. We have a guest that's really going to bring so much enlightenment. His story is just it's so inspiring. We have so many people out there that's living and they never turn for good, or they never look at the situation and say, hey, let me make a change. But this brother, his story is definitely powerful and much needed for such a time as this. So I'm gonna turn it over to my co-host Ariana for right now, and then we will definitely come back and bring our guests in and get this thing started.
Well, yes, it is a blessing to be here in the village with all of our village this beautiful Saturday. I am Ariana, as said, the co-host of this beautiful show where we bring our village together with the resources and blessings right at hand so we can have the tools of command at our disposal. So I am a servant of the community. You'll find me as a life coach, motivational and transformational speaker, poet, and many of other things, where I have the privilege of serving by side of Lorenzo Evans, who is also, in his own right, a playwright, a minister, advocate of the gospel of Jesus Christ, and a continued messenger of the word. And in every avenue possible, you'll see his arts displayed in continuing to elevate the message of Christ. And now in all of that, we, like Lorenzo said, we do have a special guest today. So I am so excited to share with you all his story. But without further ado, Lorenzo, if you wanted to bring him on in.
We're getting ready to bring our guests in, and again, like I said, his bio is powerful. So instead of us breaking it down like we normally do, we want to give you the full impact of this bio because it's powerful, it's impactful. So we want to make sure that you understand and listen to this as we continue forward. So without further ado, let's bring in our special guest, Dennis King.
Hey,
and just the name, the name itself speaks. Dennis King, think about it. Just, you're born a king. So you have no choice but to
yes,
be.
sir. That's right. Thank y'all for having me. It's a blessing. Thank y'all.
Yes, we are so excited. So I would love to share with our village just who this special king is. Mr. Dennis King was born in Arkansas to Dennis Earl King and Gail Brown, where the roots of his life began until a tragedy struck at the age of 5, where he was hit by a car. And this tragedy was so severe that he had to be flown to Memphis, Tennessee, just for treatment. Shortly after this, his family had moved up to North Memphis. There, he would learn the lessons of street life. And Dennis, as a child, he was always told that he had a special gift, many of gifts, especially for the kingdom of God. And he had a calling on his life. Shortly after that, music became his love. And Dennis had a praying mother that actually brought him to church, and with that, built up the morals of his life. He began playing drums and percussion for many of different churches, where there he was able to join the band at Laner Junior High, which was actually directed by Mr. Joseph Martin, who actually became more than just a director, but a leader, a former gang member who was able to transform his life. And with all of this, Dennis was able to incorporate many of his skills and gifts into being able to write poetry, really being an advocate for problems in the community, and really being a lift and a light to the streets out there. And within all of that, he has decided and dedicated his life to serving and giving back to what God has blessed him with. With all he's experienced in life, he has been inspired to write his first play, which is titled, Which Path Will You Choose? We'll be able to hear so much more about this play and the passion and motivation behind it. But with that, he's also had several other projects that his heart has been focused on. What Holds Us Together, which focuses on life and of the family, with fathers being involved in their children's lives, which, as you hear on this show, a lot of times in our village, we are trying to bring the king back into the kingdom and in the homes. So Dennis King, without further ado, welcome to our show. We are so excited to hear the service that you have for the community.
Definitely.
Well, thank you for having me. Thank you so much. When I hear that stories of my life, it makes me look back and be like, man, I'm blessed. That's all I can say.
And that's good, and what I like about that and what we want our village to see is that when you look back on your life, you look back to focus and see what God has brought you from to give you the strength to carry on. You don't look back to say, wow, look, I still got this. I don't. No, look at what you have overcame. I tell people this all the time. As of today, as of this very moment, you have overcame 100% of all the days that you thought you couldn't make it.
Hey, and you're right. If we as humans would quit looking at what we don't have and what we actually do have, like you say, I mean, I'm in a way better position than what I used to be. So, I'm grateful. That's all I can say. I can't speak for the next person, but I'm definitely grateful.
And we have to be, gratitude determines your attitude. Right. So when you're thankful for what you have and where you've been, it helps to elevate you to what you need and where you're going.
Yeah.
So, yes, sir. Definitely.
Speaking about that attitude, and also starting, Mr. Dennis, with that childhood tragedy, because some of us don't deal with tragedy in life, but we think we truly do, or feel like we can't ever get, or we're the only ones who have tragedy. How did you, in that early age, was able to use that and to be able to see the blessings and all the transitions that came after that?
Well, with that happening when I was 5 years old, well, first of all, it happened because I was somewhere I wasn't supposed to be. I was outside, staying in the yard, and I had a cousin that lived right around the corner, like maybe it wasn't even a minute walk away, and my best friend stayed across the street. He was like, "Hey, let's go around," and I'm like, "I'm not supposed to go," but I said it's gonna be quick. I run over there real fast, and my uncle actually hit me, which is funny. And when he hit me, they felt something, they say, and it dragged me like 30 feet. And
wow.
Yeah, so come to find out, like I said, they had to fly me. I had a collapsed lung. Basically, all the skin on my face was gone. They thought they were gonna have to perform skin grafts on me and stuff like that. And I tell you the power of God, because I took a picture. They had a picture day at school. I took a picture 3 weeks later, and you couldn't tell I was hit. All my skin came back. No scars. Only thing that it left me with was I can't see out of my right eye because I have a scar over my pupil. But other than that, I'm good.
Wow.
That's the only thing that life, kind of affected my life a little bit, but I was able to adjust. Even though I didn't understand the power of God back then, I knew it was something. You know what I'm saying? Like, because normally when you hear about a kid, especially a little kid getting ran over like that, you like, oh no, they're gone. But I knew it was something.
Mm-hmm.
And I come from a family that believe in Christ, so that was starting to get instilled in me into as a young age.
Yeah. And that's what it takes. And I think that's the whole concept of the village. That's why we're trying to bring the village concept back, because if your survivor, the fact that you survived, it wasn't from your prayers. It was from those that prayed over you. It was those who prayed for you, those who prayed before you. We don't understand that we're reaping the benefits of past prayers. That's why it's so important that we pray.
Right. And you so right. I remember I had gotten to a real bad situation. I was about 14 years old, and I remember I was supposed to be going to church because my church was not too far from my school, and I got to that situation, so it took me a long time to get there. But all I know is when I got there, all of a sudden they just started praising God and everything like that. And my mom, and they told me what they were like. We don't know what happened. all we know is they stopped the service and just started praying for me, like and praying for me and stuff. And then you know what? That's when I really knew, okay, God is real, because I was out here about to probably die out here, and my mama and some of the mothers of the church and the preacher, they stopped service and was praying for me at that moment, and they didn't even know what was going on. And I mean,
Mm.
like, I'm telling you, man, that's when I knew, okay, all right, yeah, it's a God for real now.
Wow.
Yes,
And that's
sir,
so
definitely.
amazing. You know, we don't get enough credit or give enough credit to the prayers of the saints. And
Yeah,
I think I was saying it this morning. I think too many people have got to where instead of praying like we used to, now they hit like on Facebook and say, you know, or they'll say, well, I'm going to pray for you, but it's just out of habit. It's a stock
out of
response,
habit.
you know.
Hmm.
And I think when we look at the state of the world today, we need testimonies like yours. We need people to
Right,
hear that God is real. I mean, just your
right.
testimony is that's a whole message by itself.
Yes,
That
sir.
just your testimony. You wouldn't even have to preach. You could just give up and give your testimony, and that is a service
Right.
right there. You know. So we,
Yes,
man,
sir.
I mean,
Yes, sir.
I, whew.
Yes, sir.
You know, I'm
Yeah,
an
you know.
advocate of the gifts and the blessing of those praying grandmothers and prayer warriors, and a lot of those
Hmm.
lumens of the church that really bring in that gateway. And
Oh yeah.
in that, you know, I've also been able to see how God may take some things away to elevate certain gifts in us. So I'm curious to
Hmm.
hear from you, Mr. King. What are the gifts that you exercise in and that you use right now for the kingdom? And
Well, I like, I used to be a musician. I'm kind of I sometimes I still teach kids how to play drums, but for the most part, I'm kind of done with the music part. I still love music. Music gonna always be my first love, but in the new direction I'm in, I mostly put all my focus in the writing. And God has blessed me that when I first wrote Which Path Will You Choose, this is this is around 2007, 2008. I had moved to Charleston, South Carolina because of the loss of my sister. Um, well, my sister died. My mother moved back home, and I stayed in Charlotte. I stayed in Memphis. And basically, we all grieve differently. And I took my sister's death hard, and like I kind of strayed away from the church. I strayed away from the teachings. I'm just gonna be honest with you. I was out there wilding out. I was doing all types of stuff. I didn't care. I It was a point that I felt like I didn't care if I died or not.
Mhm.
And then that night happened when I almost died. And I remember I made it to a payphone and I called my mother and I was like, I'm dying, I'm dying. I just wanted to, my mother, she called somebody on three-way and they figured out where I was at. And I made a promise. I said, Lord, if you let me live through this situation, I will leave Memphis and I will change. Well, I lived through the situation. 3 days later, I was out of Memphis. I came to Charleston with nothing but the clothes on my back. I was messed up, scarred up real bad, and like a little grocery bag. That's it. I didn't have
Mm.
nothing. I had to start over from like the bottom. And one thing about when you know God and you know the Word and you know all that, sometimes He has to take everything from you just to get your attention to be like, hold up now. You know what I'm saying? And that happened. And you know what? I had to come back like the prodigal son and ask for forgiveness. And like to realize, like I said, I took my sister's death hard. I blamed myself. I was mad at God. With, we can't question what He has. Everything is His purpose. Even though we might not agree, it's a purpose behind it. I feel, and in that purpose, when I came here to Charleston, I was somewhere I didn't know nobody. I had to start over. And in the midst of me not having a job at the time, I was just sitting in the house were living with my cousin. That's when I began to write little short stories. And just writing little, no names or nothing. And one day I remember my cousin came in and he started reading some of the stuff that I was writing. He said, "Hey man, this kind of sounds like a play or a story or something." And I said, "Oh." So after that, I started putting little names with the character names and stuff like that. Then I started doing like little skits for the church. And I said, you know what, I'm gonna go ahead and write a full one. And that's when I wrote "Which Path Will You Choose?" And
Mm.
"Which Path Will You Choose" was important at that time because one thing about life, we all have choices. Even if no matter what it is, sex, drugs. But before you do it, you make a choice. You know what I'm saying? And
Mm-hmm.
like some choices will affect us, some won't. Some will affect us further down the line. But that's how it goes when you make these choices. And we have people that this play here dealt with more of the street side and how sometimes in life we get so many warnings and before destruction, as they say. And like, yeah, you were spared this time. And sometimes I feel like some of these guys, when they're out there, they get a feeling of being invincible. Like, oh yeah, just because it happened to them, don't mean it's gonna happen to me.
Mm-hmm.
And and they get to next thing you know, hmm, you know. And one thing I know about anybody who lives that lifestyle, somebody around the way warned them before whatever happened.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Somebody, or they saw one of their homeboys or partners go through the same situation. So me, I don't consider myself as a preacher, but I am a man of God,
Mm-hmm.
and I believe like in this world that we live in, God is talking in a generation voice. So I try to make create events or things I've experienced in my life or seen or gone through and bring it in and put it on stage. That's how I give back to, that's how I preach, in other words, or teach, in other words.
And that's good because the the concept that the church is in the four walls, or the concept that to be a minister you have to have a title given to you by man, is so incorrect. Because the
Right,
title man give you is useless. The title God give you, that's where the power come in at. So man
right,
may not appoint you a minister, but God can anoint you to minister.
right.
So
Exactly,
it's good stuff.
exactly,
And it's funny
exactly.
because you were saying about how when you lost your sister, how it affected you. Um, I come from a family of 13, and now it's
Oh
eight of
wow.
us left. And there are days that when I think about doing things and my accomplishment, I sometimes say, "Wow, I wish they was here to see this." Or I wish it almost, if you
Yeah.
don't handle it correctly, it kind of drains you because you feel like you're not able to get your full potential because they can't experience it. You know,
Right.
so
Exactly.
because when you grow up thinking about I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna have my family gonna be
Hmm.
there to cheer me on, and I'm gonna have them to do this, and then
Hmm.
when they're not there, it is so you have to have God to fill that void, so it's
Oh
not too.
yeah, definitely. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, definitely. You're right. And you know what? I used to be like that. And I used to always, man, I miss my sister. I miss, and you know what? We're gonna always miss her,
Mm-hmm.
But I'm on to the point now. I look at it like if I knew if she was here, she'd be real proud of me now. I
Yes.
really
Yeah.
think she would. I can honestly say that. I can honestly
Mr.
say that.
King, Dennis, you might like to say Dennis.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
What, just out of curiosity, because we've hit on some things, I want to make sure we pause for the village to really understand how
Hmm.
how our experiences are that foundation, no matter how dirty or tragic they are, to build us into
Hmm.
growth. And what I hear from
Hmm.
you is two things. One is regarding your sister's death and some of that grieving process. And you hit right on the head. Everybody grieves differently.
Mm-hmm.
How old
Right.
were you when that took place?
I just had moved back 20. I was about 22, 22, 23.
Mhm.
And
Mm-hmm.
that was the age when, you know, I ain't finna cry at the funeral. I don't, I called myself trying to be strong for my mother, and uh, which was dumb, but in the midst of all that, and then trying to make myself feel better with drugs and alcohol, that that was a bad chemical mixed to try to and with depression. And I'm glad that we now live in a world that feels like that actually talks about depression, mental health, and stuff like that. Because let's be
Mhm.
honest, back then, black people weren't talking about that. That was a quote
Right.
unquote white thing. I'm gonna be real with you. And but no, it's real. And if you don't have a structure around you of good people, or a team of people that got your back and that you can confide in, man, I feel sorry for somebody who don't have nobody they can actually talk to. But that's when your faith in God and your relationship come in,
Yes.
because you can have a conversation with the Father. Just all you gotta do is listen, because He speaks to us all the time. But sometimes we're getting the answer that we don't want to hear, or it's not happening when you want it to happen. You know
Hmm.
what I'm saying? That's me, right? I'm dealing with that right now. Not rushing God, but I mean, His timing is perfect. It's
Yes.
perfect.
Yes.
And,
You hit it right on the head, and
Hmm.
that's why I asked is a lot of us as families don't understand the depths of tragedy that we experience sometimes, most times in our journey.
Mhm.
Everyone has a
Right.
tragic experience that counseling
Hmm.
is necessary, that safety
Hmm.
group, that healthy group that will help talk you through it. And in times when you are by yourself, you don't have anybody, there are certified specialists who can help you manage through what's going on in your head. And be
Hmm.
still, be quiet, meditate, like
Hmm.
Dennis said, and allow God to feed that soul. So I appreciate you
Oh
pausing
yeah.
on that, allowing us to understand this portion of your life and how the community can also benefit from understanding the blessings of having a village. So thank you, Dennis.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Because you gotta. I remember when I was growing up, and you know how they say, like, literally, I like in Arkansas. My grandparents had a garden, and my neighbors had a garden. Let's say my grandparents, they grew tomatoes and a couple other things. Let's say if they wanted some greens, my neighbor next door had greens. They would trade. That's how we ate. Some people down
Hmm.
the street had a chicken coop. Where we think we got the eggs from? The person down the street that had eggs. We didn't. I mean, well, we had the black supermarket, of course, but it was a family thing. Like literally, I couldn't do nothing because everybody knew who grandchild I was.
Right.
Everybody know that's one of them kings. That's one of them kings. If I got away before they caught me, they was already on the phone. Like, hey, your son was in my backyard stealing tomatoes. I used to
Hmm.
love tomatoes.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, I mean that's how it was back then. And you know what? Um, we've gotten away from a lot of that. I mean,
Yes.
like our people. I mean, woo, I look at this like some of the generation now. I'm gonna tell you like this. I'm glad I was born when I was born. I
Right.
wouldn't want to be coming up in these times. I wouldn't want to be a kid. It's
And
it's
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 sad
wild out
because
there.
we and I don't discuss racial issues a lot to too many people because a lot
Mm,
of people they just don't see it because they're too busy focused on one thing. But I always
right.
say we need it. You can never tell the difference between trash. Trash is trash. So if your
There
yard
you
is
go.
dirty and someone throw trash in your yard, how can you distinguish their trash from your trash? So clean up your
There
own
you go.
yard first. Then you can
Right.
identify that was not here before you came here. But if we already
Right.
have chaos and confusion, when somebody else enter
Right.
in, it just multiplies what's already there. That's why I say we've
Right.
got to begin to speak. Like you said, when you came up, when I came up, it was the village concept was in full effect. They didn't care who you
Mm-hmm.
were. They didn't care who your parents were. If
Mm-hmm.
you did something wrong, they took care of it.
Mm-hmm.
And if our parents frowned
Mm-hmm.
out, now we're getting beat twice because somebody else said
Yeah.
something.
And
So,
don't let them find out you were being disrespectful. Oh
oh,
man.
But you
now
even hear in
now
that college the village concept, it's also helping and feeding and nourishing each other too. In that
yeah
discipline and the
yeah
love is there.
Yes, most definitely. And to comment off of something you said, like, yeah, I'm one of them people. Like you said, I don't talk about a lot of racial issue things because I feel like before we could even get to the racial issues, we as a people got so many issues we got to work out first. How can we come up here and be fighting for this and we ain't even got our, like you said, our yard together yet?
Yeah.
Men, women, black, I mean, wh- how can, what I look like, let's say I'm fighting for this cause here, but yet I'm lacking in all these other areas, but I'm just fighting you over this one little thing. But here but I'm lacking in all these other areas. It's like, hold on now. If we're gonna be, you need to be united. United first of all, a
Mm-hmm.
plan. It's I can talk about that all day. Let me get off of that. But you get what I'm saying. It's that's it's on. I have an old saying. You know, before I look at somebody else's yard and judge them, let me make sure mine's clean. That's how
Mm-hmm.
I like to say.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
Too about being ready. Like, God is about order and time. And if we ain't clean and ready for the blessing, he gonna make sure we stay right there till we get clean and ready for the blessing.
Mm-hmm. And
Man, some people mess themselves up.
yes.
Some people mess their own self up from their blessing.
Mm-hmm.
The devil busy. No, you busy.
It kind of goes with what you were saying also about the mental health issue, because when we were coming up, we had so many people that we could talk to. The grandmothers were wise.
Mhm.
The mothers were able to speak to you. You had a whole neighborhood of people that was there for you to lean on. And as we got away from that, we began speaking less about mental health. And I think that's where we come in with so much craziness going on, because mentally we don't want to deal with it. As men, some of us was raised to think that if you cry, that means you're weak. Or
You're weak. Yeah.
if you don't be a certain way towards your companion, well, that means that you're being weak. You got to be the strong mantra. No. I raised my
Rule with an iron
grandkids.
fist.
Yeah. I raised my grandkids to you have to love, protect, and respect our queens. You get in there and wash them dishes too. You get in there and sweep that floor. You open the door for your grandmother, your auntie. When they go to the car, you make sure they're in the car safely before you shut the door. All these type of things. I want them to understand that, we consistently teach the Black female how to be a queen, how you should carry yourself. But then we don't teach the men how to be a king. So we're lacking, because we've got to show these kings how to be in position to protect the queen. So
yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm a strict believer. I'm a strict believer, because you'll hear a man say, "I'm a king" in a minute. I said, now my question is, are you doing the things to make sure you earn the throne?
Right.
That's my question. And even like in my household, my wife, she's mostly a housewife, but she contributes and stuff as well. But it's times I get off work, I be like, no, baby, I cook tonight. I like to see my boys see that. It ain't just her. No, I'll cook tonight too. You know what I'm saying? I'll clean up something. It ain't just she got to do all the clean cooking. No, it's not. That's not. No.
Right.
Because I can burn myself. So
right, and it's just so many things that we can do as men, and I guess because for me, I'm such a advocate for strong men, and I keep telling these women, the biggest issue I see in most cultures, but I just speak from ours because that's where I'm an expert at, is that we're allowing princes to come in, and we allow a prince to come in. We give him the same benefits of a king. No, you have to earn your right to be a king. The benefits that a husband get is different than the benefits that a boyfriend should get.
Well,
so you demand that person be a king. You look at the qualifications.
Right. I'm glad you said that. I ran. You hit the hit. What did they say? You hit the head on the nail. I have a saying, and I've used it in a play, one of my plays. It says we have all these women giving they giving these men full-time benefits, who part-time, who don't even qualify. but they giving you full time. You don't even qualify.
Right.
Hold up. You know what? Hold up, now. Back in the day, I remember when I used to give a girl, I used to have to work for that.
Mm-hmm.
They spend time, even these girls. Oh my God! Now, I mean, woman, what do you think your virtue means? Anything?
Mm-hmm.
Anything? I, you
And
know,
it
you,
and it ties
you,
and it ties into two things. One, it ties
mm,
into that mental thing we was talking about, which ties into
mm-hmm,
how they had the example before them to show them how to be a lady, show you what to expect from a man, show a man how to treat a
mm-hmm,
lady. See, I remember
right,
years ago, my niece had dropped out of school, and her boyfriend had came over to the house, who was still was getting ready to get prepping for college. And I asked him, I
right,
said, so why are you with her? I said, she's a dropout. You're trying to continue your
right,
education. Why would you want to be with her? Because you already see her track record. So
yeah,
is nothing wrong with you loving someone, but if you truly love them, step back and allow them to be the best version of themselves. So what
mm-hmm,
she did was, from
I
that
agree,
conversation, she finished high school, went to college, and was on the dean's list. I mean, me and her,
right,
we this tight even to this day, because I
right,
don't care if you family or whatever. I've got to speak the truth, and for me to say I
right,
want to see another king better in himself, and since that's my family, it's okay to accept her when she's less than. No,
right.
because she got the same
No,
ability to be more. So let's push them to be
mm-hmm,
more. So I didn't say it to hurt
right,
her. I said it just to point out, look at the dynamics of what you're dealing with. So, you
right,
know,
right. Yeah, yeah. That's like for instance, with my company, I have a team of people. I don't have no yes people. I don't want nobody who's gonna be a yes, 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 yes. If
mm-hmm,
I write something and it's bad, you tell me. And
right,
believe me, they will. Trust me, they will. But
mm-hmm,
because if you really care about me and you really have believe in what we're doing and for the Kingdom Productions, that means whatever you want to have integrity with it, and that means you're gonna be like, no, Dennis, we need to you need to go back in there and do this again. You know what I'm
mm-hmm,
saying? They want to push, like you said, they want to push you. They want to see the best,
mm-hmm,
and like if you're not if somebody's not doing it, I mean, and you're just saying yes just to make me happy. I'm not gonna. This company will never grow.
right.
You know what I'm saying? So everybody that's with me, we try to keep pushing each other. And I'm sorry, my son's over here eating popcorn. I'm sorry, but no, we try to push each other, and and bring out the best of what we can do.
Mm-hmm. And you know something, this is funny because we was talking about this at work the other day, and I like the fact that you acknowledge your son. That means that you haven't tuned him out. You'll be surprised how many
Hmm.
times we talking to people, and some of the mothers say, we like the baby crying. Oh, I just tuned him out. No, how do you tune out your child? You know what I'm saying? They part of you. Don't tune them out. Now, if that's going to be a distraction to you, and you feel like you bother with them, you make arrangements, but you can't exclude them because that's you. That's your mini you.
Say hello.
Hi, handsome.
All right, go
So I
play with
think
mommy,
that's
okay?
beautiful.
Yes. And we hit on it when we talked about accepting a prince, and he may not quite have been crowned in his kingdomship. Same thing with the
Right,
princess and her being able to see the
Yes.
models of the queens in front of her and those praying grandmothers. In that
right.
concept, I think that it's very true when you're in a relationship. We talk about the challenge and making ourselves better and grow. And even if it's a
Hmm.
prince and a princess together, the expectation is that they're going at some point to challenge themselves because one of them is going to want their crown. So I'm gonna start pushing you to be better
Right,
because I'm trying to be better. And so we have to
right.
recognize, to make that process easier, is like recognize where that royalty is at, because we are all born
Mm-hmm.
into
Hmm.
royalty. And you got to
Right.
recognize if they're on the same trajectory of growth as you are, and if that's something that you guys can challenge each other into that crowned kingdomship.
Hmm.
Are y'all gonna stay in the prince and princess's role?
Mm-hmm.
Right. Like I tell all my boys, I tell them like, listen, I try to give them a message all the time, and no matter what we doing, I try to find a message in it. And I tell them all the time, they tell me about the girls they like and whatever. That's good,
Mm-hmm.
at this age you're supposed to like a female, but what her grades look like, what she
Mm-hmm.
doing, and you know what I'm saying? I said because first of all, like one of my sons, I told him, I said, how she feel about you having bad grades? She don't like it. Okay, well you need to keep up with. You need to keep her. You need to
Yeah,
keep
those
that
questions
because.
open up their mind to like, what should I
Mm-hmm.
really be looking at to analyze this princess or this prince? And you hit it, Dennis. I
Hmm.
just want to take a pause for our community because you hit on some amazing things that we needed to be ministered to today. As the community, as the village is growing people, and as parents, we have to remember that those conversations and dialogue, children go through tragedy.
Hmm.
The CDC
Mm-hmm.
has
Yes,
recently
they do.
announced that children as young as ages of 8 should be having regular anxiety screenings, and as young as 12 should begin to have
Wow.
depression screenings because of the state of the
Hmm.
world and the things that they're
Mm-hmm.
experiencing. And so remembering to have these conversations, and they're just questions like, how does she feel about your
Right.
grades? What grades does she get? How
Right.
does she talk to you?
Right.
What positive things does she
Right.
say to you, or do you say to her? How do you lift each other up? Even if it's just your friend group,
Hmm.
these questions
Mm-hmm.
are
Hmm.
vital in us being able to change the path. Since we don't have that village, we have to be that sometimes and get them
Mm-hmm.
to think
Hmm.
outside the box.
And
So, yeah.
and you also bring up a good point as well because if you look at it now, these kids are experiencing things we didn't
Yeah.
see until we were in high school.
Right.
They're seeing this young,
Yeah.
especially with social media and all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Come on, I'm like, what? I didn't start. We didn't do sex ed till I was like what, eighth grade, maybe ninth grade, 10th grade, almost somewhere around
Mm-hmm.
there. They now they,
It's
I'm
scary to wait
look.
that late now.
And even if you think about it, we were taught about make the birds and the bees and the pollination and all of that. Now they tell them, look,
Right.
this man and this woman, they get together, they strip, and I'm like, oh, wait a minute.
Yeah.
So it's a
Yeah.
whole different world, and we have to be able, and like that one comedian was saying, we got to now explain the birds and the bees with stingers, the bees without stingers, the bees that should have stingers, that don't have stingers, and the bees that used
The
to
ones
have
that
them.
used to have them.
Yeah, so you have to,
Yeah.
and see, society is
They're teaching
forcing
that now.
us. Yes, I mean, even the commercials come on, and they're like, why them two men hugging and kissing? I mean, what can you do? So we have to equip them to be able to
Mhm.
process what they're
Mhm.
going to see. We don't have a choice,
Hmm.
And to think
and
through
like,
Right.
too, they're not being fed answers, but they can stop and critically think what is right for them, what is a good choice for them, what is good for my family,
Hmm.
you know?
mhm. And when we
Yeah,
talk
you're
about
right.
kingdoms,
Definitely.
queens, when we talk about kings and queens, what we have to teach kings is that before you become a king as a prince, you can sit on the throne. But to be a king, you
Right.
got to walk through the kingdom
Right.
because
Yeah, you
just
got a
sitting on the
kingdom. I
throne,
only walk through a kingdom.
right? People have to
Right.
see you. People have to understand you. People have to see what you're doing to respect you. So just sitting on the throne does not make you a king. Walking through the
Hmm.
kingdom, presenting yourself as that's where you
Hmm.
that's where you become a king. You got to walk into it. You can't just sit on the throne. That means
Hmm.
nothing. So, um,
That's some good
you
stuff
know,
right there. That's some good stuff right
Right?
there.
That actually leads
yeah.
me to ask you, Mr. Dennis, when we talk about kingdom and being on our throne, what type of legacy is it that you desire to leave behind or to create?
Oh
Let's say.
wow. I say this a lot of times. I may never be rich, but Lord, when I die, let me be rich in the people lives I touch. And I want I want to be known as a man that you know he gave back to his community, loved kids, worked. I used to teach kids. I worked for kids for years as well. Um, and just a man that tried to make a difference. You
Mhm.
know, and love his people. You know, I know I can want one thing, but I feel like if I keep doing what I'm trying to do in this world, people will say that, you know.
Mhm.
Yeah, you know, and the good works that we do will speak for itself.
Mhm.
You know, that's what I want to be recognized for. You know, not a man that was, money hungry, liar. No, this like this. No, man, this dude really tried to help. That's what I
And that's what we need. We need people who are trying to do the work. Not so much
Mm-hmm.
as trying to be seen that they're in the field, but actually in the field doing the work. Because it's so much work to
Mm-hmm.
be done. We've got so much tragedy in the world that we've got consistent places we can be to help others, to pick one another's up. And that's why we want to bring back that village concept, because it may be
Right.
something that I can't handle, but you've handled it before. So when I bring it to you, you
Right.
can say, let me show you how I dealt with this. Let me show you where
Right.
I've come from. So we've got to get
Right.
back to that, because we've got so much of that isolation where everybody's just, well, let me handle my problem by myself. That's where the mental thing come
Right.
in, and it's stressful. Like I
Yeah.
said, I come from a family of 13, so I've learned a lot, because like when I was coming up, I was one that was considered. I was told I would never be nothing. I was told that I wouldn't make nothing of myself. I was told I could never be a writer, because I've always wanted to be that. That's all I've ever thought about. So all these things
Right.
that people told me I could not be, I thank God that I walked in what He wanted me to be. I didn't allow that to affect me. It may have slowed me down, but it didn't hold me down. So
Right.
we got to begin to speak and let people know, look, yes, and I tell people this all the time: you're not a product of your environment, you're a product of your decision, because
Mm.
your environment is there, but the decision you make
That's
is what
good.
determines who you are.
Ooh,
So
you know what? Thank you for saying that, because we black people have used that saying as a crutch for too long. Product
mm-hmm.
of my environment, no, of
Yeah,
your choices. Oh man,
yes, yes,
wow,
yes.
wow, that's wow. I like that. I'm
So,
gonna have to. You have to let me use that one, brother.
definitely. But we've got a
Yes,
lot.
sir. Yes, sir.
We got a lot of work to do, and it's brothers like you that's going to help us to get there.
Yes,
We
sir.
need strong brothers that's not ashamed of their story, that's not ashamed of where they came from, because you really can't speak
Mm.
of where you're going unless you acknowledge where you came from.
Yeah, where you been? Yeah.
You know, so
Yeah.
let's take, for example, let's take two people, two powerful, strong black people, Oprah Winfrey and Tyler Perry. We
Yes,
see
sir.
where they're at now, but look at where they
Hmm.
came from. I mean,
Yeah.
look at Steve Harvey. He was
Humble
in his,
backgrounds.
you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Wherever they came from, humble backgrounds, but they worked hard, man. They worked hard.
right.
And,
Mm-hmm.
I tell everybody, listen, if when like in this field with the writing and stuff like that, I said this thing you gotta be addicted to it almost. You gotta be committed, and
Mm-hmm.
and you gotta give it your all, because if you have stepping with it, you know, you're hustling backwards. You're wasting your time. But
Mr.
Right.
you
King,
know,
take a minute and highlight to the village what half stepping is, because I don't think they know it, because they doing it like
yeah,
they do.
when half stepping is basically okay. We on a scale of one to 100, we got a percentage of what we're gonna give. If you ain't giving 100, you don't need to be doing it. You need to find something. You're wasting your time. That's in a relationship,
Mm-hmm.
work, whatever. You're just in life. Period. You have to. I mean, you gotta. Especially if you have dreams. Like they used to tell me all the time, you have a dream, something you really want to do, write it down. Take a
Mm-hmm.
note, write it down. And that's what I started doing with plays. I used to, no lie, I would be at work and I would have an idea would come to my mind and I would stop, hide somewhere and write it down right quick before I lose it. A line
Mm-hmm.
or something. And it got to the point, I literally started writing all my plays in my phone. I don't
Mm-hmm.
type no more. I haven't typed a play in 2 years. All of them is on my phone, just strip. I mean, everything. Because you know, the smartphone just. You know,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
yeah, I
Okay,
mean,
you hit on something else. I want to. We got to pause for the village because we talk about the praying grandmothers, a lot of the village and the old way we used to be. But I love that you just hit on some of us being technically advanced and the benefits of the resources and the tools of our command to be better. Tell us again, you utilize electronics to help you be efficient and become and get that 100%, right?
Right, of course. Come on, there ain't none of his spell check. Sometimes my wife gets on me sometimes. Sometimes when I post, I get excited and I be rushing to post, and she'll be like, "Spell check, baby, spell check." I'm like, "Oh yeah," and I gotta go correct.
Yes.
But she hold me accountable. She be like, "No, baby, I can't have you out here half stepping, looking at you like you don't know how to spell."
But you know what's so good about that is, like you said, she supports you, she helps you. This is another myth that I see a lot of people take into relationships, and they don't understand. The structure of a relationship, most people think is, well, we both got to get 50-50. 50-50 is division. You both got to give 100%. That way you got 100% cushion. If one of them lacking a little bit, you still got 100% plus. So quit saying you're going in 50-50 because you said I'm going in divided. So you saying and I'm not going to give 100%. No.
That when you say that, that makes me say, wait, when people say that 50-50, even when I was young, that never made sense to me.
Right. It don't.
So like, I'm like, okay, in school I gotta get 100.
Right.
But in love, I only gotta get 50. Right. So I only gotta love you half the time.
But that is our reality. That's the problem. We've been fed that, and that's how we operate. That half stepping. My mama, she's nicer than her. My mama say, "Stop with the half stepping."
I love Teddy Pendergrass. Teddy Pendergrass said that on "Love You Some, Love You Back." He said, you know, it's 50-50 love affair. Like,
right.
50-50. I said that's why it didn't work.
Right.
You said that's why it didn't work. Because she only gave 50%, and you didn't. That means you're not all in. When I asked my wife, and then I told my wife before I started married, as we started dating, I said, "You know, you're gonna be my mind, right?" He laughed. Now they laugh. I told her that, and I gave my all to make sure that word came true. And you know, one thing I've noticed this, even though I haven't been married long, but I try to continue to court her or date her as sometimes.
Right.
So the things I did to get her, I'm trying to make sure I keep doing now. You know, life sometimes you, as a man, you get stressed out and you get distracted with other things, but then it comes back like, oh, let me make sure my baby right. Because one thing, if she right, I'm okay. She gonna make sure I'm good.
Definitely. And that's what it's about, because in life itself, it always should be you and your companion against the world. Not to say you don't have some things sometimes that may be, I guess, an issue, or not that you may not run into some things that you don't understand. But at the end of the day, you both together can work on anything, can be and do anything. We don't understand that when you don't have complete unity, that's when you'll open up the gate for confusion to come in. So like the song, what's her name? The one lady that sing, I can't think of her name right now. Mary J. She said that never let another woman cook in your kitchen. Even if you walk in and you walk into hell, you still stay out. So in other words, no matter what we're going through, you still can't come up in here, because you attack one of us. Now we both want to attack you because we are one. So we've got to keep that mentality. And this is what I've learned. A lot of that small division underlying is coming in through the church, because when I went to church, they were telling me, well, we want all the ministers and the pastors to sit up front. I said, if you don't have a seat for my wife, then I can't sit up there, because wherever I sit, she's going to be with me. And they was like, well, we pastor. So I said, no, you don't understand. We are one. How can I sit up front and then tell her that she's not second rate? That's my best friend. That's my better half. So why am I allow you, the church, when we're supposed to be going by God's structure, allow you to let me treat her less than. You need to go check your scripture.
And let me tell you something. At those other churches, when you come in as a guest, they're gonna have her up there with you. Like
yes. Yes.
You're right.
Yes.
You definitely you right about that.
Yeah.
I got this old saying. Sometimes we as people, I think we can talk to. I had this old saying: "Be careful what you tell the people around you about your mate, because some of them can use it against you." And you notice that now, especially women. Then you know how women get. They get a type of dude. They get to talk about what he, and next thing you know, your best friend is sleeping with your man. I'm like, well, you gave her the recipe. You gave her the recipe.
Right. See, that's something. And this is something I tell people all the time. I will counsel you. I will work with you and do whatever. But there are certain things that you have to work out between you and your mate. That's not my business. I'm not going to come in your bedroom and tell you what you should not. That's between you, your mate, and God. You don't go and tell your best friend what's going on there. You keep what happens on inside of your home. It stays. And almost like you said about Vegas, what happened in the house stays in the house. Once we walk out that door, we're happy front, and that's what you see. Our issues, we deal with that privately, but nobody else.
When we get back home, you're right.
Now, keeping in mind, Village, there is I'll give the best scenario. Our example is when we go through life and our challenge and journeys, right? You learn lessons. And not everything applies. So you take what is needed and you plant those seeds for growth. And then you let the seeds that aren't necessary and you wash those weeds away. So in this, I know we have mentioned about the importance of speaking as a community and sharing our tragedies and making sure we are able to therapeutically talk through situations, right? And in the same aspect, I know that we are coming to wrapping it up, reminding us about the sacred unity of home and the foundation of your kingdom. So we just want to just to bring it both home is in the kingdom, there are things that if everyone is 100% in their position, the divine woman and the divine masculine, these kings and queens will be able to rule their dynasty healthy. And there are resources for our village and community when we need that extra hand and help. Because maybe the queen is not doing 100% or doesn't know how. She doesn't know the power of the laboratory of the kitchen to heal the home. And she needs that assistance. Or maybe, the king doesn't know how to iron out chores or whatever it might be. So know that we are, what you hear from us are the pros and cons of both sides of it. So you can make sure your family and kingdom is growing healthy. So I just wanted to pause and bring it home.
Definitely.
Yeah,
you're definitely right. You're definitely right. Yes, ma'am. Yeah, we all play out roles, different roles. No matter how they try to switch things in this world we in now. Talk about that life, but we all have roles that we have to play. And I think if we're getting the way we're moving in this world, they're trying to take God out of everything, and that's not going to work. That's not going to work. Let's just be real. He's in everything we do. That's like I have a play called "What Holds Us Together." I have actually 3 of them, part 1, 2, and 3. But what holds us together is simply the love of Christ. Yeah, grace and mercy.
Yeah.
Grace and mercy.
We need so much of what we're giving, and I appreciate you because a lot of times when we speak of how women hold the home together, how women have been the backbone. I'm a firm believer that men need to step up and take their post. The Bible itself said a strong man you can only take stuff from his house if you first bind up the strong man. You got to overthrow him.
Right.
So we've got to get back at the gate, not only at home, but in our community, in our churches, because people are coming for weakness. It says that the devil seeking whom? He's prowling like, he's looking for, that means that he can't just get anybody. He's trying to find somebody weak. Then he can overthrow
the right one. The right
We're
one.
not gonna allow that on our watch. Men like me and you, we're standing together and saying, "Hey, we're not going to take that. We're not going to allow you to put our children out. We're taking our children back. We're taking our community back, one person at a time, one family at a time. We must do that. Even with this podcast, and I tell Ariana this all the time, what she bring to it, I can't bring. I just can't. But it balanced out everything. So I'm thankful for that, and we have to learn together. I mean, we've got to work this thing out because our community has got too shattered and too divided, and we're trying to stand against something, but they slipping in through us, and it's not going to work like that. We got to bring God back. That's where our power's at.
Right. He has to be the middle, because without, like they say, all things are possible through Christ. So how are we going into this spiritual war that we're in, and you ain't got your ammo with you?
Right. We got too many people out there fighting the battle naked, and that they leaving the army.
Taking a knife to a gunfight, literally.
Right.
Oh man.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
They don't even have their sword because they don't have all the words. So they
right. And if you have your sword and don't know how to use it,
that's another thing. You can't go in. I'm thankful. I was taught how to pray at a young age. Because there were times I couldn't reach my mom to pray for me. I couldn't reach them praying mothers. I ain't ashamed to call out for them, myself. Yes. I had to go in the bathroom at the job, mad. Listen, Lord, better get them, Lord, because I'm about to get them.
Definitely. But let's do this, because we definitely want to make sure. And I see your T-shirt. That's for your for the kingdom. I see that shirt.
Yeah. So this is one of my shirts. What holds us together. We're on Facebook at For the Kingdom Productions.com. I mean, For the Kingdom Productions LLC. We also have a YouTube page where you can check some of our content out. We have For the Kingdom Productions as well. We're actually working on the new project, which is Illusions, Eye for an Eye. It's going to be starring Tony Grant from the Tyler Perry Love Thy Neighbor. He's going to be in it. We also got a couple of other special guests. I'm telling you, I'm going to give you a little brief synopsis on Illusions. Illusions is dealing with a man who basically is living a double life. In one eye, we see him as a family man, hard-working man, good job, successful. I mean, everybody loves this guy, but then he has another side to him on the other side of the family. On the other side of the city, he's a dope dealer, street man. I mean, he literally has two different. He's a Jekyll and Hyde, basically. And we pulled it off. And when we pulled it off, and when we did it, the crowd was they went crazy. It was called Illusions. The first one was just Illusions. Beyond the eyes reality, because it goes deeper than the eyes can see. You know what I'm saying? And we're not looking at things with our spiritual eyes. We're just looking at what we see. And man, when you do that, somebody can pull an okie doke on you like that. But no, it's a real good. We had matter of fact, that was my biggest turnout. It happened right before the pandemic hit. It was January 25th, and the pandemic, they started shutting everything down in March when I did my last show. Yeah, so we're gearing up for the next show.
That's a blessing.
Definitely. We're gonna have to definitely make sure when you get more time that we can bring you back, because I believe that anytime you connect with a person, there's a purpose and a reason for it. And I'm listening to you, and I'm hearing so many things that how we connect, how we have the same mindset, and I'm thankful to God that you took time out of your day to spend it with us, so that we can learn more about you, what you do, the things that you offer, so the village can see that there are people out there that's willing to go that extra mile. There are people out there that's willing to share their story, and there's people who can inspire us, and that's what we need. we got to come back and bring the village concept back. We must do that.
Right. Yeah, I agree with 100%. I love that title. I gotta tell y'all that I love that title. I like that. I love it. I love it.
Well, we appreciate it.
I
Like
really
I said,
do.
go ahead, Ariana.
I just it's a question that was on my heart when you told your story at the beginning, and then you just brought it full circle home for me. So it's just my spirit says to ask. Because there's scripture says if your right arm causes you to sin, just cut it off. Like whatever
Right.
is your stumbling block, just remove it. And you put it on, and you talked about the accident and your physical or flesh eye, not being operating. But just now you reminded us of the importance of your spiritual eye and truly being able to see. And I just want, before you go, to share with the village of the blessing that you have being able to have that spiritual eye now. In hindsight, I guess.
Well, when you have those spiritual ears and spiritual eyes, basically, it's like asking God to guide you. That's how I look at it. Asking Him to guide. So when you're in a certain situation, or you get, as they say, if in the comic book world, those spidey senses, or something ain't right. You haven't got that feeling. You go somewhere and be like, you know what? I'm not going. I'm going to leave. Then 10 minutes later, you find out it was a shootout, right when you was just. That's just using, because before something, like I said, before you make those choices, you get some type of feeling. That's why somebody say always follow your first instinct. The next thing you know, you're like, man, I should have. I shouldn't. Yeah, that's and you know what? When I teach that to my boys, I'd be like, follow your first instinct. If you want to go somewhere, all of a sudden you got a bad feeling about going, don't go, because that's the Lord talking to you. That's the Lord giving you that, like I said, your spiritual ears, your spiritual eyes to hear certain things. And you be like, but y'all hear something, and everybody else be like, no, that's God talking to you.
Right.
Because they not supposed to hear it. He talking to you.
Wow.
But sometimes you gotta,
Earlier you talked about choices, and you made a comment about little choices, but you just brought it home. Every choice is important. Every word life you speak. And thank you for reminding us about using our spiritual eye and hearing those senses and those warnings, and making sure that every day we have choice, and every choice becomes an opportunity.
Every day we have choice.
Allow the light to shine. So I'm excited to have had you, Mr. King, to share with the kingdom and the village, to hear from all of our kings, so they know that there are other brothers out here who are moving, guiding, and strengthening their temples and kingdoms from the home to the chapel. So on that note, Mr. King, I will pass it back over to you gentlemen to bring us on home. I am thankful for this day and this opportunity to have been in your energy.
Yeah. And I want to just show people that when it's meant for you to connect, God will connect you. Remember this book, bro? This is how I connected with him. This is how I connected with him. And I reached out like, hey, we got to have you on the show. So that I'm just showing you that when you're part of the kingdom, God will find a way to bring you into the kingdom. So you're now part of the It Takes a Village family. You're always going to be part of it. If we can continue to promote you and push you when you're doing stuff, bring you back. And we now, where you say you're living at now?
I'm in Charleston, South Carolina now.
Okay, so that's not that far away. So you never know. Look up, and you're doing something. We can be right there in the audience, like, hey.
Well, hopefully soon. Hopefully I'll be on the road soon. I'll be coming to see y'all.
Yeah, definitely. Well, we're not going to say hopefully. It's going to happen because you're speaking it, you're writing it, you're making a vision plan.
Right.
So we touching and agreeing. Touch and agree.
Yes, sir. In time, y'all will be seeing. In time.
Yes, definitely. So again, we do thank you for your time. We thank you for gracing us with your presence, and just know that your testimony is enough. Like the lady said, you may not be a preacher, but you're a minister. We got enough preachers, but we need people who minister. So,
Amen.
We thank you for your energy. We thank you for showing us and being part of this village. And like I say, I mean, this is Saturday afternoon. It's nice out. You could be doing anything or anywhere. and you said, no, I want to sacrifice my time. So we appreciate it, and God appreciate it. People don't understand when you make a sacrifice for Him, when you give time to Him to do stuff like that, He's going to multiply it and give it back to you. So,
Right. I was thankful. I was so glad you had hit me up the other day because I was like, hold on, because I'm bad with dates sometimes. And I was like, is it close to the date? Yeah. Did I say May, June? I was like,
yeah, definitely.
I'm so glad.
Oh yeah, like I
Yes,
said,
sir.
I'm so thankful to have met you, and so I mean, this is a divine connection, and you know, we're gonna be working the stage together. You
Yes,
know, we
sir.
can
Definitely.
collaborate and do plays together and all of that. So yeah.
Yes,
So as a
sir.
matter
Most
of fact,
definitely.
I got some other things that I'm working. I might have to reach out and yeah, we may be having you back sooner than you think.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes, sir. Hey,
Yeah.
you all you got, you know how to get in touch with me, man.
Right.
Hey, like I said, I'm part of the village now.
Right.
Okay.
Definitely. Well, again, we definitely appreciate you. The village, thank you. And we'll look
Yes,
forward
sir.
to seeing you again soon.
Yes, sir. You all be blessed now.
All right, have a good one now.
Yeah, yes, sir.
All righty.
That was a
Family.
lovely show. It was
Yeah,
exciting to spend some time. Like last time we met, we were elevating those beautiful women in the village. And to take some time to be able to speak to the kings today, it was really lovely. I was happy to be a part of it.
definitely. It's been a great time. Like I say, we're gonna continue to put the information out about Mr. King because he's got a lot of stuff he's doing and working on, and we're gonna definitely make sure that it's highlighted. We thank everybody that tune in now, everybody listen to it later. We're just thankful to have the village and to bring back the village concept. I also always, as I tell you, Ariana, I always thank you for what you bring to the concept. I think what you bring to the village because you definitely add a flair to it that's needed. So I thank you for that. I definitely do.
It's my honor and privilege. Village, we are so blessed, and we are look forward to the next time we get to share your energy and share some of the resources available at our command.
All right, and with that, we're saying, remember, it takes a village. This is the Takes a Village podcast, and we will continue to uplift, enlighten, and help our village to be stronger together and united to do the things that we're trying to do to be the best version of ourselves. Again, we send thanks out to Mr. King, and I hope everybody have a blessed day. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and we'll see you next time. Bye bye.